Well, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. Our podcast is about you and your journey in music, and of course, your new song and video. I just watched it. I love it. It's awesome.
Thank you very much. I love it too.
So I did see you're from Los Angeles, born and raised.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in LA, and I moved to Israel about 8 years ago.
Wow.
And it was kind of a really random occurrence, and I didn't ever think that I would end up here. And a lot of people think, oh, maybe it's like a Jewish thing, or well, I did like the birthright, but I actually never did that. My dad is from here originally.
Oh wow. Okay.
And before moving here, I'd only been here for family vacations and whatnot. And I had a lot of friends growing up who would do these birthright trips, right? Who would come to Israel, and I remember them coming back having this completely different experience than I've ever had, going to Israel. So I think really, it's funny because people always ask me, what's the difference between living in Israel and living in Los Angeles? There are a lot of differences, and then there aren't. I tried living in New York for a year, and I just couldn't do it because I couldn't handle the winter.
Oh, sure. Does it snow or anything out there, or no? In Israel?
Well, actually, this winter it actually did snow up north, I think, for about 2 seconds.
Okay.
And then
melted.
that was about the extent of it. Yeah. Where are you guys located?
We just moved to Nashville, but I'm originally from San Diego. So both
really?
my wife and I are born and raised there. And yeah, we've never lived in anywhere where it's cold. The closest was for me was San Francisco.
How did you do that? It's cold in San Francisco.
Yeah, but it doesn't snow. I mean, cold in San Francisco is like 50. Here, we got here, it was like 27.
That's the problem with growing up in LA. Or in California, you are spoiled for the rest of your life when it comes to weather.
Right. Yeah. In San Francisco, it would get cold-ish, I guess, in the morning sometimes, but never like here. When we got here, I was like, whoa, okay, this is different.
I would go out when I was living in New York. I would probably like wrap a few blankets around my neck, plus like 20,000 layers of coats of everything I could find. Walk down my stairs because I had no elevator. Walk out the front door and be like, not gonna happen.
Go back upstairs.
You guys can fire me if you want to, but it's not gonna happen.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, very cool that you're still in Israel now.
I am. So I was, before I kind of decided this whole, this adventure that I'm doing and going out and releasing my own music with my own name is kind of a new thing. Up until last year, right as the corona was kind of coming into our lives and took over everything, I had a band here in Israel, and we were doing pretty well. The name of our band was Let's Mars, and it was me and my writing partner, who I still write with till today, almost every day, and our DJ, and we were invited to play South by Southwest.
Wow.
So we were very excited about that, especially to be like a band from Israel, to be invited to
the States to play
festival. It's a crazy experience, I'm sure, and it's a crazy opportunity. So we were pretty stoked on that, and we were really excited about it. And then COVID
Corona hit. Yeah.
And canceled life as we know it.
Sure.
So at first, it was kind of when everybody was kind of in between, like, is it okay to fly? Is it not okay to fly? Like, is it okay to travel? And I think the person who convinced, or who made us feel at first like, okay, maybe it's not so smart to do this right now, was my mom, who was just kind of like, this is a big opportunity, but something tells me it's going to get worse. And of course, mom always
Mom
right.
was right.
And
Wow.
yeah, and it did get much worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, after that, it was just kind of like Oren and I, my partner, my writing partner and producer. He's actually the one who co-wrote and produced Get It Out with me.
Oh, cool.
And we just made the decision. He was like, listen, I think I'm if this isn't gonna happen now, I think I really need to take a step back and focus on what I really want to do and be behind the board and be more on the songwriting side and the production rather than, like pushing myself as an artist, which, he's a fantastic performer. So him and I on stage together is something else, which I'm sure will still happen. He won't have a choice. He knows this already. Like when shows are allowed to happen again, I'm gonna drag him by the ear on stage.
There you go.
But so yeah, but then he was like, I know there's nothing that's gonna stop you.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, and I know that you're gonna keep going. And of course, that's what I did. So I took this song, Get It Out, and I just decided, first of all,
To get it out.
to get it out. Pretty much. It was just like, you know what? This is a pretty good song. Like, I really like this song and I really connect to it. And at first we had kind of written it with the idea of selling it or maybe like trying to pitch it for other artists.
Sure.
And then I went to Oren and I was like, I think I need to keep this song.
And so you just decided to put it out under your own name then?
Yeah. And it was just kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm making the decision. Let's fly with it. Let's like get it out and literally let's see what happens. And
Sure.
and I'm so happy I went with that gut feeling because it's been I don't know, it feels like was the first step to really feel like things are falling into place and I'm going down the right direction and I'm really proud of it. I really, really love it. I'm not just saying it because I wrote it and it's my song. It's just a song that like I know if I would hear it in the car or when I'm walking or just whatever, it would be a song that would inspire me. And it's uplifting. So I don't know, I feel really good about it. I'm getting really great feedback, which is fantastic. I mean,
yeah.
To have people really like it is a really special feeling.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great song. Like I said, I just watched the music video as well, and we can talk about that soon. But are you going to pursue this as a solo career then, or like, are you going to get back with the band, or is this kind of your thing?
I am going with the flow. I am so excited about this. I'm actually getting ready. I was like, okay, you know what? This is it. This is my time. It's either now or never, like I say in the song, and I hate to quote myself, but I just did. But yeah, I think it's really like this song in particular is really kind of like the lighting of the match under my butt to like get the show on the road and if not now, when? And I'm kind of in a position where it's like, okay, I love collaborating and I love songwriting. And I think that that's something that can be a parallel to the Talia Londoner project. So I'm really focusing on that. And yeah, I'm going to release an EP. That's
awesome.
Going to happen.
That's awesome.
But I'm hoping unless I totally like lose inspiration, but I don't think I will. Unfortunately, I kind of suck at everything else. This is really like the only thing that I feel like I'm really good at. So I kind of don't have a choice.
There you go. It doesn't sound like you're going to lose any steam here. I'm just curious real quick. How is the COVID situation there? Are your people outside yet? Or are there restaurants open, shows happening at all?
No shows, but Israel was pretty good about vaccines. I mean, everybody's I think everybody's vaccinated for the most part.
Oh, wow.
There are over 5 million people? 5 million people vaccinated. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And I have both of mine already, which by the way, have you had yours yet?
No, my parents and my in-laws have.
Plan on
And
it?
yeah, when I mean, who knows? Apparently, they talked Biden talked yesterday and said by I think April or May or something, like everybody over 18 is eligible.
Yeah, so I think for that case, like being here in Israel, we got really lucky, and everybody here got it. So actually, this week was the first week in a very long time that restaurants are open. I'm not sure that bars are open yet. And Tel Aviv especially is known for its nightlife.
Right.
So it's kind of losing there, but it's okay. It's also known for its culinary and for all the restaurants and the food. So it's good that restaurants get to open up and serve people again. And people, I mean, there are tons of parks everywhere, so it's really nice. People come and they bring their own wine or beer and snacks and food from restaurants. And now, I mean, even with being vaccinated, everybody is still pretty much wearing masks, which I think
That's
is
interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, even if it's not COVID, I think people are just getting less sick in general with the
yeah.
mask
But
on.
I the one thing I was really I guess surprised about was in the States they weren't really enforcing wearing a mask, right?
Well, now they are. Yeah, I mean, they have been pretty heavily. There's a few states and counties maybe that aren't, but like you have to, I mean, you have to wear it. And I'm in Nashville now, but I was in San Diego. But if you go out some places, if you go into like a Target, for example, like you have to wear a mask, whether the county says you don't or not. Like it pretty much comes down to the store or the business or whatever. The main county buildings and the government buildings, you have to. But I don't know. I guess it just depends on where you're at in the country,
Right. Yeah.
whether or not you have to wear it outside if you're just like at the park or whatever. But most people everyone I see usually has it on.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. My grandmother, up until recently, I mean, it was impossible for her to get an appointment for a vaccine. She's 87, you
Yeah,
know?
and I mean that's just how it's been. Unfortunately, they make it seem like, oh yeah, everybody's doing it, and I don't think so.
Yeah, no, it's really, really crazy, but it's good. It's like, it's nice. Things are opening up, and now people are starting to find other ways to have shows and live performances, and
Mhm.
people are really starting to think outside of the box, because it's still a pretty small place where like doing something like a drive-in show, I'm not really sure how well it would work here, even though I've heard people maybe thinking about doing something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, they've done those here, and it just to me, I don't see how it could be sustainable at all. It's like
Yeah,
you
yeah, it's
have a car of people, and like only what like 100 cars can show up, and you're gonna try to book a band that's
going to a
guarantees like 20 grand or something.
yeah, and it's like the best part about going to a concert is like being smashed up next to somebody and like getting sweaty and feeling the vibe and the energy of the crowd.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-oh,
you
do I
froze there for a second. There we go.
okay,
You're
cool.
back. You're back. I was just yeah, okay. Enough. I mean, we can go back to talking about you. I was just curious how it was there.
No, please
Um,
ask away.
so born and raised in LA, how did you get into music?
So it well, I mean, it sounds pretty cheesy, but it started pretty early. I mean, when my mom was pregnant with me, she said on a regular basis she would sit there with like her Walkman or her speakers and really
Oh,
put
on her
up
belly.
her belly. Yeah.
What was she
And
playing? Any idea?
she she always joked that she was probably playing with Joni Mitchell or the Beatles or
Oh,
Carly Simon, somebody along those lines.
sure.
Maybe Ricky Lee Jones. Um and and when I was about 6 or 7, up until then, every summer I'd been going to these camps with my friends and things like that, normal things. And then I remember we got this brochure in the mail to come and audition for a community theater yada. They're called Youth Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Okay.
Uh, we got a brochure to come and audition for Annie. And I'll never forget it. My mom and I were standing in the kitchen, and she looked at me and she said, so you can either go back to camp with all your friends, or you can audition for Annie. And I was like, audition for Annie. and, and I ended up auditioning, and I ended up getting Annie.
Oh wow, the lead.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Oh, it was really awesome. I mean, I have hysterical pictures from with the wig and the red dress and everything.
Mhm.
And I was chubbier too. So I really looked the part. It was awesome. And and I loved it and I fell in love with it. And I was one of those kids that was like always fighting for attention, singing in front of all of my parents' friends and everything. And then as I grew up, I became much more like kind of timid and
Mhm.
embarrassed and insecure and things like that. But music kind of has always been the biggest part of my life. I went to schools for it in LA.
Oh,
Uh,
wow, okay.
yeah,
As like did you go to like a performing arts like high school or college or anything like that?
I went to this school called Hamilton High School, and we were known for our performing arts center and our music academy. I did all of, the vocal jazz choirs. I was a musical theater nerd all the way, and
Awesome.
I loved it. And I was pretty set on like that path. And I ended up somehow I was a terrible student in like normal school. I
Sure.
I have no idea.
Academic stuff.
Math? Who needs it?
Right, exactly. That's how I feel.
um but I just, I I don't know. And then I graduated high school somehow, and I got into the university.
Somehow.
Somehow I graduated, like probably just by passing.
Sure.
I had to do a lot of summer school classes, that's for sure, to make up on all the classes I failed. Um, but I went to the University of Arizona for 2 years and as a BFA in musical theater.
Oh,
Besides,
wow.
yeah. And I actually ended up getting cut from my program after my sophomore year because I didn't quite fit their mold. It was a very classical training program, which till this day I'm really happy that I have that under my belt.
Mhm.
But it was just kind of a thing where we don't really know what to do with you, and they ended up doing me a huge favor. It was a big learning experience for me. It was a big growing experience to sit at this table and have all of these professors who kind of in a way were determining where I was going to go next.
Sure.
And for me not to sit there and like, excuse my like language, but like crap in my pants and like,
Oh, you can cuss.
oh, I can?
Yeah, yeah,
Good. Cause I felt like shitting in my pants and
yeah.
but also I was like, you know what? I remember talking to my parents right before, and they're like, look really nice, wear a really nice dress, feel good, look good. You did the best you can, and that's all you've got. Now it's on to the next thing. And it kind of clicked for me that this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I didn't know where I was supposed to be or what I was supposed to be doing
Mhm.
exactly.
As most college kids, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
unless you're like, I know I'm gonna be a nurse or I know I'm gonna be a doctor, and that's all I care about doing.
And sometimes I remember growing up and being really envious of people like that. Like I knew that I wanted to always do something in theater or in music. I didn't really know like how it would happen exactly, but I knew that that's really what I wanted for myself. And I remember thinking, shit, like why couldn't I just been born wanting to be a doctor or something?
Right, right.
know? Or like a scientist or whatever.
Right.
Life probably would have been I mean, difficult, but still.
Yeah,
It,
more of like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to do
yeah,
this, 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 and then I'm gonna get to this point. But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I
creative
mean,
creative jobs are always like, no, I don't really know how to do this, but I'm gonna
oh,
figure it out.
oh yeah. My parents are so funny. They always remind me every time I like try to complain a little bit. They're like, it's your fault. You decided to come out and be talented and do music and stuff like that. This is I'm like,
Uh,
thank you. That's really all my fault.
yeah, yeah. Did you have to like audition to get into the
I did.
performing arts program there?
I did. Yeah, I auditioned for quite a few schools. I remember that. Wow, what a hell of a process that is.
Yeah.
like an 18-year-old who doesn't know what they want in life or
Right.
who they are. And yeah, that was a crazy process. But I remember like being really excited to have been accepted somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up going, and it was a great experience. And after that, I remember I sat at the table with all of my professors, and I said, thank you. I think you guys are doing me a huge favor. It's been a pleasure.
I'm
See you.
out.
uh, See me on the next train, or you'll hear me on the radio one day. We'll see what happens.
Sure, sure. So
Um,
went from there though, you just at that point where you're like, okay, well, I'm not even gonna finish going to school here. I mean, what's the point?
so, oh yeah, I was like, I'm done with school. Like,
Right, right.
out of here. And I decided to go to New York afterwards.
Okay.
I was like, fuck this. I'm going to go and I'm going to do the real thing, and I'm going to stomp the pavement. And so I moved there. I got an apartment. I was living in a teeny, tiny, tiny, teeny little apartment in the West Village, like in an amazing area.
Mm-hmm.
And auditioning and working. I was working like 2 to 3 jobs at a time in a few different restaurants. And I think I lasted about a year, and I just kind of felt like, okay, mom, dad, like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get out of here. Like
Yeah.
I'm not so good over here. I was really lonely. I was depressed. However, there's something really, really important that happened while living in New York, and that's before I really made the decision to move back home to LA. My dad came to visit me as kind of like a rescue mission.
Okay.
Um, and I'm very, very close to my parents. I mean, as we continue on, you'll hear the gist of how close and wonderful our relationship is. But
Sure.
my dad flew to New York, and my dad, I told you he's from Israel originally.
Israel, right? Yeah.
But after his time in the army here, he moved straight to the States and became a massive photographer.
Right. I did
Uh,
read that he's got quite quite the
yeah,
resume, right? I mean,
he
yeah.
really does. It's actually really funny. Last night, it's funny because they're pretty like technologically like savvy, and they've got their shit down, and sometimes they know more than I do. But my
Mm-hmm.
dad's like, hey, check this thing that I found that I did a million years ago. And I was like, what do you mean this thing that you did? He's like, oh, I produced and I directed this music video. I was like, you did? What music video? He's like, have you ever heard the song One Night in Bangkok? And I was like, is that a joke? Are you fucking with me? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I just forgot. I was like, oh, really? How stoned were you?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but it was like pretty. I mean, he was like, yeah, I wasn't really happy about it, so I probably like, I
Just
wasn't happy how
blocked
it
it
came
out.
out, so I blocked it out. I was like, okay, dad, that's cool. And I loved the video. I saw it and I was like, I want my videos to look like that, dad.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, so wait, where were we? What was the
Oh,
original?
you said that he came out to New York to rescue you.
So, and that's kind of when he bought me a piano. I think he bought me like a Casio or something like that, a full length
Mm-hmm.
board. And I knew nothing. Like I knew nothing about the piano, but he was like, do it. Cause in college, actually, I had picked up the guitar and kind of taught myself how to plunk and
Okay.
pick and strum and I actually wrote my first ever song, like fully structured song, my sophomore year of college. And finally, when I moved
Wow.
to New York, and I did all of the auditioning and everything, and I wasn't so like stoked on life,
Mm-hmm.
he came and he rescued me, and he bought me a piano, and he said, "You're fucked up? Good. Start writing." And kind of like ever since that happened, I mean, not saying that I have to be fucked up to write a good song. It does help.
It helps.
Obviously, I mean, he used
Look
to
at the
joke,
greats.
and be like, "Oh, you use this when you're happy," you know.
Right.
But no, he got me this piano, and he's like, maybe it's time that you really start like writing your own stuff and seeing, throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. Maybe you'll surprise yourself.
Hmm.
And cut to quite a few years later, here I am, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm
Wow.
my own songs, which is
And
amazing.
you obviously learned keyboard then, piano.
To be honest, I suck, and you will never catch me playing the piano.
But do you use it to write?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
And that's very much like hard plunking. I don't know what I'm playing all the
Sure.
time.
But sometimes that's the best, the best stuff. I've talked to people that are like, yeah, I play guitar so weird, and these chords they just make up because I think they sound cool. But people that are classically trained will be like, what are you doing?
I know it's like sometimes whenever I go into like a session with other people and they're like on the piano and all this stuff, I'm like, oh, I'll just use my voice and then they'll come up with the melody. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll sing it. I'll sing what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Wow. Well, did you perform at all? Like you said in New York, you're doing auditions, but did you ever
I
do the open mic night thing or?
I was, to be honest, New York, that one year was a very trying and difficult time for me because one, I had just gotten kicked out of school and I wasn't really sure, like it really had an effect on my self-esteem as a performer, as an actor, as a singer, as anything. And I was like really trying to focus on myself and on like picking myself up again and really just like putting the pieces back together because it really did, mess me up a little bit, and it put me in a weird place where I was like, is this really what I want to do? Am I questioning myself? I'm doubting myself. And I did all of these auditions and I got a lot of close calls, but
Mhm.
nothing ever hit. And I'm sure like that's kind of the reason why I moved back. I was like, you know what? I'm all alone. I don't really have I have maybe a little bit of a social life, but it's not really worth keeping me here without my friends and my family. And
Mhm.
I'm not really so happy. So mom, Dad, you really want to be back home. So
Okay.
and then I moved back to LA and I
Mhm.
kind of was just like, I'm gonna try something else for a little while. Like I kind of feel like I need a breather and I need a break. And I'd always loved makeup. I was always the girl in the group that would do all of my friends' makeup before we'd go out and stuff like
Okay.
that. And I was like, maybe I'll go learn how to do makeup. And, after all, my parents were photographers.
Mhm.
And so I'd kind of grown up around a camera
Mhm.
and I decided to take the rest of my college fund and use it to go study makeup because with music, nobody ever knows what's going to happen or when you're going to have money to buy food.
Sure. You need somewhat of a backup plan, I guess.
Yeah, I mean something.
Mhm.
And I went with it and I loved it. And then I just kind of ended up doing that for a few years and singing every once in a while, backup for my friends' bands and things like that, but I wasn't really focusing on it so much.
Okay.
Until until really I had moved to Israel. Even then, I kind of had no feelings of, I had no idea, first of all, what the market was like here. I
Mhm.
didn't know what the music was like. I didn't know what kind of music they played on the radio. I had no idea what people like to hear, what they played in restaurants. And I came here not knowing that I was going to end up living here.
Yeah,
I
because I was gonna ask you, did you move there knowing you wanted to stay, or is it like a trip that ended up becoming
no,
life?
I totally, it was just a totally random thing that happened. I mean, to be exact, I was having dinner with my dad. We had cooked dinner. I mean, food is a very big part of my family's life. We all cook.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
we had made dinner for each other. And I was just going through a really hard time and a lot of confusion. And I felt like I was putting out my feelers, but I wasn't getting anything back. And I just felt really lost. And I'd been through some difficult relationships, and I, by the time I could even put the first bite of food in my mouth, I just kind of lost it. And my dad looked at me and he just said, you know, there's nothing really to say except it's time for you to get the fuck out of here, baby. You know, it's time to go somewhere completely different. Give yourself an opportunity to start over and start fresh and figure out who you are and figure out who you want to be. And you know, and I was like, okay, Dad, well, where am I gonna go?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you go to Israel? I was like, okay, well, what the hell am I gonna do over there? And he's just kind of said, well, you know, you don't have to stay forever. You can learn, maybe we can sign you up for a Hebrew course so you can spend some time with my family out there. And at first I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, the music scene is great. The nightlife, there's so many young people. I was like, no, 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 no. And then I woke up the next morning. I was like, okay.
Let's do
And
this.
yeah. And I like was working full time as a makeup artisan. And I called all of my clients and the people that I work with. And I was like, so I'm moving to Israel, or I'm going to Israel in a month. And I have a one-way ticket, but I'll probably be back in like a month and a half. Cut to 8 years later, I'm still here.
Wow. So,
And I mean, obviously I like it here. You know,
right.
it's a really, honestly, it's been probably the best decision I have ever made in my life. And it was for no particular reason. I think you know, my dad really did something special for me. He really just kind of put a mirror up in front of me and said, is this what you want to look like? Is this what you want to feel like? And I didn't. And I knew that I had more to give and more to offer and more to learn about myself. And I was very insecure at the time and very low and hard on myself and just so not satisfied with anything. And I'm really glad that I did that for myself and put myself first to just kind of say, okay, you know, all I have to do is pack a bag and go. And if it doesn't work, I can always go back home, you know, and just not to be afraid and just keep moving forward and put one foot in front of the other. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And I'm so grateful for this whole experience. And honestly, and now I'm ready to come back.
Yeah. That's awesome. So obviously in the 8 years you met your band and you guys were doing quite well to get this offer at South by Southwest. And then COVID hits, and tell me what you guys are up to, and then how did that kind of, evolve into now you released your first song as a solo artist.
Right. So we were doing pretty well, and we had a few singles on the radios here. We made it to NT
Wow.
here. Yeah, and we played, there's like this really beautiful theater called the Amphi, and it's like a big outside kind of like an amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so amazing, and we were finally starting to like get some traction and things were starting to pick up, and then like boom, everything stopped, which for so many people in the world, you know.
Sure.
And when we decided to just kind of, like, at first it was like, okay, we'll take a break, and then it just kind of segued into, okay, this is it. I think this is all that we've got. And everybody kind of went on to do their own thing. And Oren and I mean, we decided to, first of all, to keep writing for me, but to also work together as a writing team, writing for other artists and producing for other artists. And that's been really, really fun. And I mean, I just kind of got to this idea where listen, I'll tell you what, I think in the music industry, they're doing a really good job of tackling the isms. And I was just having a conversation with somebody before about, you know, like racism and feminism and sexism. But I think the one thing that we have yet to really tackle is ageism. And I'm no spring chicken. You know, I'm 33 years old and I'm proud of it. And I know, I'm well aware that my competition are these like teen boppers, these TikTokers and all this stuff. And that's great and everything, you know, but I really feel like I've got something to say and I feel like I've got something to give and I want to connect to people the same way that I've felt connected to other people through music. And I feel like if I really don't take this opportunity now to jump on that and fuck my age, I mean, honestly, and I'm not just blowing smoke up my butt. I feel I've never looked better. I've never felt better. I've never sang better. I've never written better. I mean, back then, Billie Eilish, for example, you know, they're so harsh on this girl who is just such a special creature. And they're putting so much pressure on her to know who she is at such a young age. And back then when I was 18, 19 years old, I didn't know who the fuck I was. All I wanted to do was like chase boys and party and smoke pot and like,
right, of course,
scream and sing and be crazy, you know? So I actually feel like I have a different take on the industry itself now, and I'm learning so much about it in ways that I didn't really ever expect to. So with that being said, I just wanted to ride this wave of age is nothing but a number.
sure.
And it's all in your head. And if you've got something to give, like if you have a gift, it's meant to be shared. And that's really, really something that I stand by. And that's important to me to really, I guess, put out there and get it out.
Get it out. That's awesome. Well, I love that, and I love the fact that you're taking this on as a solo project now. And tell me about. I read that this video that you put together, your parents were involved in it, in the production and everything else. Tell me about that.
Well, this video would not have happened without them.
Okay.
The way that it went down was when I like made the decision, okay, I'm gonna take this song and this is gonna be my debut single. My first thought was I need a video. I need a visual for this song. And a lot of the times when I'm writing music or writing songs, writing lyrics, I think about the video. I think about the visual. It kind of puts a clear picture in my head. And this song, I mean, if you would have asked me even a year ago if I would let my parents help me with something like that, I would have been like, hell no. Because their opinion matters so much to me that I like wasn't really in a place, or I didn't really have the mental capacity to take it in if they didn't like something that I was doing, you know? And
Sure.
so my argument like there was like, just let me figure it out for myself, right? And so this time I'm so happy I did. I just kind of like let it go. I mean, and this is after a lot of working on myself and therapy and yoga and doing all this stuff and just kind of like opening myself up. And I think one of the biggest tragedies is for humans is not knowing how to ask for help. And I just went up to him. I was like, guys, I'm ready and I need you. I need you real bad. And and I sat with myself and I listened to the song over and over and over again. And a picture started, like, I started visualizing things and just kind of started writing things down of what I was seeing. And before I knew it, I kind of had like a shot list written
Mm-hmm.
down already, like a storyboard of how I wanted to look. And of course, it was,
Retro and awesome.
it was, and I went up to my parents, I was like, okay, guys, so this is happening. This is what I see. We're going to do this. This is what I want. Can we do it?
Yeah.
My dad was like, you're fucking crazy. You know that? but they're like, okay, let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to work. And I'm so lucky because my parents, first of all, they know what they're doing. I mean,
Right.
they've been in this industry for so many years and they've built their own sets and they've created their own designs and styling and aesthetic. And a lot of that aesthetic, I think, came into this video.
Mm-hmm.
You know, growing up in LA, everybody used to refer to our house as the Dollhouse. You know, our house was, it was the house. It was where all of my friends came to hang out, and sorry, mom and dad, but like they knew, like, it was a house where people came to smoke pot and drink.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents knew that their kids were safe there. Like, my parents weren't gonna let, my friends would always go to the house and hang out even if I wasn't there, you know. Just because it wasn't like my parents were these obnoxiously trying to be cool. It's just like, we've been there too. We're not gonna
Right.
be hypocrites, you know. We're not gonna say no, 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 because we know the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go do
do
it.
it. Right.
And and yeah, I mean, every day there was somebody at the house, and it was like, okay, we're going to the Dollhouse after school, or okay, there's a party at the Dollhouse. And I mean, it was where every room was a different color or a different floral, you know, pattern, and there were millions of tchotchkes in every single nook and cranny of the house. And the ceilings, my dad painted the ceilings like clouds, and we had it was a big yellow house with a white picket fence and a red door and flowers everywhere. And that's really what I wanted in the video, is that idea. And I guess I wanted, in a way, my bedroom growing up. And I wanted the colors and that feeling and that softness. And I really just wanted that vintage look, you know. I'm a big fan of, thanks to my mom, of antiques. I mean, we're massive antique flea market
Antiquers.
time, big time. I love digging through people's shit, and, like, you know, they say one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Sure.
And yeah, they had a huge massive part on this video, and they really helped me make it happen. And I mean, my mom and I, we did the styling together. We kind of wanted this old Hollywood look to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always been a fan of 40s glam and like that old fashioned wave hairstyle, and I wanted to bring that with, like, you know, like a virgin style of Madonna and
Right.
Copper. And I mean, those are the women that I grew, they're the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know. Those are the songs that I grew up singing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted that vibe, that energy in the video, and they just knew exactly what to do and what was needed to bring that visual forward, and to bring that, you know, concept of like 80s 90s mixed with that classic top hat kind of stuff.
Sure.
And the
That's
stairs.
awesome. Yeah, I love it. It totally has that vibe. It has like that, yeah, Madonna, like, but even like into the 90s, like
Yeah.
the text that comes up across the screen, it kind of gives me like, yeah, that like 90s-ish vibe as well.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, that's my boy. Oh, excuse me, my fiance.
Oh,
That's,
congratulations.
thank you. It was my birthday. It was my birthday a few weeks ago, and he surprised me and he proposed. And
Wow, that's
it,
amazing.
yeah, it was. It's been quite a time, actually. A lot of really good things. Knock on wood. So I'm feeling pretty good. It's okay for I just knocked on wood and the dog started freaking out. So I'm lucky because he is an insane videographer and a director and an
That's
editor.
awesome.
So it was a very much a family affair, this video.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, and we got together as a team and we put all of our cards on the table and we're like, okay, listen, what we're about to take on is not easy. Being a family, working together, this is not going to be easy.
Sure.
And we're going to get on each other's nerves and we're probably not going to like a lot of the things that happen, but let's try to avoid that. Let's understand and know that we're all here for the same reason. That's to make a really, excuse me, Frankie, excuse me, dog.
That was pretty awesome, actually. The effect they gave on this side, I was like, what is happening? That's pretty.
My dog had to make a butt appearance.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so it ended up being an overall one of the best experiences of my life so far.
That's
And
so cool.
now, I mean, I was just talking to my dad before this. Now he was like, "You shithead, we made this look so good and now we can't go down from here. How are we need to make another video now." And this is like, and I was like, "Well, sorry, not sorry."
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you have more songs and ready to go and ready to release?
Yeah, in the canon, ready to go. We're already starting to get the next video ready, and working on an EP. I'm trying to decide if it's gonna be a 4 or 5 track EP. Maybe I'll throw in, like a bonus track. We'll see. I mean, it depends on how I'm feeling, but
Sure.
I think I'm really excited for this. And the thing is, now with the world as it is right now with COVID and live performances, I think it's really putting real creativity and art like it at the front line, whereas numbers on social media and all of these things, it's so important, and anybody can be famous overnight. But it's I think what this time has done for a lot of people, it's kind of made, at least for me, made me get my shit together,
Mhm.
and it's really made, and I'm feel lucky for that, to have been given this time to really sit down with myself and say, okay, this is what I want to be doing and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do whatever I can to make myself feel like I'm doing the best job that I can, because I believe in myself, and
Mhm.
that's something that I have to really cherish and I have to hold on to, because if you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect anybody else to believe in yourself? And that's really, what Get It Out is about. It's about feeling these human emotions, and knowing that it's okay to feel fucked up and depressed and sad and angry and frustrated, confused, but you got to go through the motion. You got to go through those feelings in order to really move forward,
Mhm.
and to believe in yourself, and to like brush it off and say, okay, now I'm ready to get to business. And that's what's happening here.
I love that. I love that. And I have one more question for you. And this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Talia, for
No,
taking time to
thank
chat
you.
with
I'm
me.
kidding. I just have to tell you one before you ask me that last question. This is my first interview in English.
Really?
So it is so fun not
That
to
is
like break my teeth.
so I can wow. So this is the first time you've done an interview in English.
Well, at least, I mean, to be completely fair, my Hebrew is not great. I mean,
Okay.
I can
Get
carry
by.
the interviews that I've had in Hebrew, they've been much longer than this. I mean, because me speaking in Hebrew is like pulling teeth. But but it's been such a pleasure to speak in my mother tongue.
Sure. Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again for taking time out of your day to do this.
Are you kidding? It's my pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, my last question to you, you kind of answered in your description of Get It Out, but I want to ask you again if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yes, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and to make a fool out of yourself. And if you fall, it's good. You know, failure is not always a bad thing. It can be a really good thing. And we're so lucky because these feelings as a creative, you know, they're so important to us. And they're also, you know, our greatest teachers. They're the ones that teach us where we're stuck or where we need to kind of let go and yeah, just if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help any way that I can.